Hey guys, this is your host with the most, King Jill. And today I want to talk to you something about, it's going to be brief, but it's going to be as to why you see a lot of rappers in Puerto Rico and you see a lot of um, entertainers speaking about Puerto Rico. You have a young lady, Bianca, who speaks highly of Puerto Rico because, we Puerto Ricans, we love our island. But, when it comes to Puerto Rico, there is this misconception. Okay, Puerto Rico is a beautiful island to visit. Puerto Rico, if it does have the resources, but if it had money, you can live there. You can live in Puerto Rico. You can have a good life there. Um, Minimum wage is 8.30 something. After so many years, at 7.25, and that's still low. That's still low. But this is you go to Puerto Rico as a tourist. You enjoy the beaches. You enjoy our local food, which is great. But for those who live in Puerto Rico, it becomes a living hell. And I'm not talking about the elder people, because the older people, they have their social security, so they're living good. But the next gen, our Gen Z, they're gonna have a hard time living in Puerto Rico, because Puerto Rico is becoming the next New York, the next Miami, the next California. Why is that? There's a lot of people like Bianca, that when she blames that Americans are coming to the United States, or foreigners are coming to Puerto Rico to buy property, right? And then they displace the people who they buy the property. So let's say that there's a building condominium, they buy that condominium, and they misplace the the tenants that are there. They tell you you got 30 days to move, and they buy it from penny to a dollar, right? And then they Airbnb that, and then they Airbnb that out. They Airbnb that out. They Airbnb that out. So, so what happens? So, the government is giving incentive to foreigners that if you come to Puerto Rico and you live there for 6 to 8 months, whatever you do in taxes, it's free. Whatever net gain you get, whatever major gain you get, it's free. It's tax free. The people of Puerto Rico don't have that. People in Puerto Rico don't have. I think that's late 23, but Puerto Rico has something like late 22. But late 23 is for the rich. So the person, all you got to do is just live there for 6 months, leave, and come back. I mean, next year for the following year, stay there an hour or two, and you're set. That's why you see all these people buying these properties in Puerto Rico and renting them out an exuberant amount of money, and people can't afford it. People just can't afford that. You can't survive you cannot survive in Puerto Rico with 8.35 an hour. This is why we got food stamps. About 60% of the population in Puerto Rico lives on food stamps, because you can't live on 8.35 an hour. We have the highest cost of electricity in the whole entire country. We have the highest taxes at 11.5. How can you live like that? You just can't. So you also have beaches are supposed to be private. Beaches are the people of Puerto Rico. They're the owners of the beaches. So the beaches belong to the public. The beaches belong to the people of Puerto Rico. Those beaches there is no private beach in Puerto Rico. But yet you have people who come from the United States, build a home on a beach, and they want to make that beach private, but you cannot do that because that beach is not private. You had the brother of the governor who bought a house on the beach, and I think was trying to make a pool in the beach, trying to do something on the beach, and that cannot be done. And they put up a wall, they put up a resistance. It became a hackle when his brother knows that cannot be done. The governor knows that cannot be done, but yet they tried. They trying to displace us, and it's not the people of Puerto Rico, it's the government themselves. Because let me tell you something, people. We have some of the greatest people there is in the world. We have the longest Christmas there is in the world. We eat every day. You see someone having a party here, you see someone having a party there. Why? Because we are happy people. But with the happy people, we don't like being messed with our habichuelas, like they say, our beans. You work hard. You wanna see the fruit of your own labor, but you can't do that in Puerto Rico. You can't do that because the politics is so involved. And when you see that Puerto Rico is suffering, that Puerto Rico, right now there's an ongoing in the pueblo of Caguas, where there was a church. There was a church there, and that church got destroyed. Do you know how much that pastor asked and got granted for that church $32 million just to build the church that he had before. There was no $32 million in damages in that church. There's no way in the world. No way. But within that church, they had certain things for certain people. You could sell this, you could sell that. And all that money went to the church. Yeah, some of that money had to go to the church. So if you open up a stand, money goes to the church. It's just a lucrative business deal in Puerto Rico. And who's paying for it? The people. But my main pet peeve is that the people blame the politicians. The people blame the politicians because you put up police. Police was horrible. Police was a horrible police was a horrible residence. The commission residence, he was horrible. The thing he's maybe he's a good lawyer. Fortunio was a horrible. They all basically all were residents, commission residents, which means that you're representing Puerto Rico in Washington, but you have no vote. They paid you a good salary, but you have no vote in the Senate, nothing. You can write up a bill and pass it around and see if someone picks it up. And okay, but if you were a senator, you write a bill and no. So we have no vote. We have no vote or no voice. That's what's to say in the presidential race. We don't have that. But yet you have politicians from the left, which is the blue party, which is called the red party, which is called the blue party, which is called PNP. They want to stick it to the people of Puerto Rico and say, you know what? If you vote blue, if you vote with us, we're gonna get you statehood. And they've been trying for statehood, and statehood is not going to happen, people. Statehood will not happen. You cannot grease the Democrats' hands. You have to start greasing Republican hands, because because Republicans will not give you any votes, because they know or they think that most of the votes, majority, is going to go to the Democrats. That's number one. Number two, if Puerto Rico became a state, the funds that Puerto Rico would get federally would triple. Several states will lose seats. Puerto Rico would have the majority in Senate. You think they want that? Do you think they want that? No, they don't. I was born and raised in New York. I'm from the Bronx. I'm an American. That's what I am. But my heritage is Puerto Rican. I am a Puerto Rican. That's what I am. I'm an American because I was born and raised here in the United States, but I'm Puerto Rican. And when I see my Puerto Rican people suffer, I do not like it. When I see when people say, oh, we have to blame the government. No, do not blame the government. Blame yourselves. Because you guys knew that this was going to happen. You guys knew that you cannot ever, you cannot trust the party of blue. You cannot trust the party of red. You could maybe trust the Green Party, which is independent, and the other party, which is Lugaro. You could trust those. But these two parties have their own agenda. You got to remember, Luis is a lawyer. Okay, Fortunio is a lawyer. When they leave there, they go to the buffet, and litigate. That's their job. All right? Rosselló was a doctor. His son was a scientist. They're not there to gain anything but what they can get from them, what they can get from the people of Puerto Rico. If you're a predominantly good doctor, why are you going to go and mess around with government shit in Puerto Rico? You're not apted. You don't have the credentials. So Puerto Rico had Alexandra Lugaro 4 years ago, and I thought the woman was going to win. And when she said she was an atheist, she lost a lot of votes. She lost a lot of support. And I'm like, why are you taking that into, why are you holding that against her? There are many of those that you chose, many of those blue ones, many of the red ones, that say they are Christians. They say that they love God, and they go around steal from the government. I guarantee you that if Puerto Rico was to audit themselves, and I want one day to Puerto Rico, you would see how many people are in that book that they gave money to and they corrupt. You will see a lot. And the reason they don't do that is because both parties will lose, because there are names from both parties. You're going to tell me, I moved to Puerto Rico in 2004. In 2004, Puerto Rico had 0 sales taxes. 0, right? So from day to night, Puerto Rico implemented a 7-point sales tax. 2014, 2004, a 7-point sales tax. When it came to 2009, I think 2009, 2010, when the then governor, Alejandro Padilla, decided to audit some of the books and says, where is the taxes that were collected from 2004 until now? No one knows. No one knows, because 6% was go to the government and 1% was supposed to go back to the municipalities, which is 78 municipalities in Puerto Rico. So no one knew where that money went. So he had to raise it from 7% to 11.5%, the highest of any state in the United States. They're not a state, but compared to the United States, they're the highest at 11.5%. Why couldn't he just order them and say, let me open this book and see what's going on? Oh, this guy did this. Money stolen. But are they arrested? No. How can you lose 7% of the gross that you're getting for sales every year for 6, 7, 8, for 9, close to 10 years? Corruption. And that's it. And that's where it lies. Our beaches are great. Our people are great. Our food is astronomical. But the government themselves is the one that's keeping Puerto Rico back. Okay, you have all these foreigners going to Puerto Rico because of the taxes. They stay there for a few months and they come back. Because whatever they're making taxes, it's free. It's for them. We're not talking about, they were supposed to, and one of the rules is that these people who open up shop here in Puerto Rico have to hire Puerto Rican people so they can get them jobs. None of them do that. None of them do that. At least when you had Law 926, where it shielded all factories from federal taxes. So whatever they made, the net gain, whatever they gain in money, there were no taxes taken away from them. But then when Clinton became president in 1996, he said to Puerto Rico, you got 10 years before this new law, this incentive that you're giving out is no longer there. So Puerto Rico had 10 years to make up a law similar to that, so that when the 10 year came up, this one could take over and they don't lose. In their mind, somewhere along, they said, oh, the United States is going to bail us out. They're not going to let us do that. They're not going to let us suffer. And voila. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. The government of the United States didn't do anything. Nothing. And I would say 90% of the factories in Puerto Rico left. So thousands of people lost their jobs. Thousands, because someone in the Senate said to themselves, don't worry, the United States is going to help us. Instead of saying, you know what, let's do a plan B and let's do our own incentives. That's all you have to do. You're doing it now. You're doing it now. And then they go to, and these politicians, the Rickies, every artist, every politician went to Puerto Rico to take the Marines, to take the Navy base out of Ceiba, out of Vieques, because they were polluting the air. But they didn't think, you know what? Some of these people who live in this town in Ceiba depend on those people, because those servicemen comes out of their boat. They don't want to eat there. They want to eat in town. They want to eat something different. They want to drink their beer. They want to play their pool. They want to talk to little honeys out there. You know what I'm saying? So they come out. I mean, even though in the Navy base you have your own community, you have movie theaters, but they want to come out. You want to do things differently, right? When they shut down the Navy, everybody went to the house. I'm talking about all the artists, or the congressmen. The Navy base went out, and this poor town in Ceiba had no business no more. If you go there, I don't know now, when I was there in 2016, before I left from Puerto Rico, it was a ghost town. Now, I just read today, they're going to put a Marvel technical factory there. I don't know for what they're going to do there. But if you look at Ceiba, and where the Marines, the Navy was at, that's a huge naval base. And they took it out because they were experimenting with bullets and bombs and all this stemmed from a guy who was not supposed to smoke, got hit by a grenade. So they wanted him out. And it's a shame. And I can tell you I can sit here and tell you how beautiful and gorgeous our people are. Put it this way, I'm going to give you an example. Tell me how this is fucked up. You got the mayor of this town called Canóvanas, Puerto Rico. Her father decides not to run no more. The mayor of this town. So you have a mayor and you have a vice mayor. So the mayor of this town decides not to take over. So instead of it going to the vice mayor, because that's his job, president, vice president, no. This guy decides to give his mayorship to his daughter. No votes, no special vote, no. Decides to give this to his daughter, who no one voted her in. No one said she could go in. Boom. The same thing with the mayor in Caguas. His name is Marin. It's William Marin. His father was a mayor. What did his father do when he retired? Or he passed away? Went over to his son. That's not the way politics works. That's no way. But the government of Puerto Rico allows it. When a senator gets a raise, when a mayor gets a raise, they don't get a raise. They don't get a raise from the government, or they don't get a raise from here. They get a raise within themselves. So what the mayor does, he has several of his people that he has chosen. They sit in a meeting. They go into a room. They do a meeting, and they discuss whatever they discuss. And at the end of the day, at the end of that discussion, the mayor comes out smiling because they gave him, he's making 50, now he's making 80,000 because they're the only one who can give him a raise. Okay? If it's called upon. And that's what they do. His own people. You got people in government, you got mayors who have family members working with them. Instead of having that job given to someone who is qualified. The mayor of my town has his nephew who doesn't know how to do anything, supervisor for garbage. Has two of his daughters who have no supervision, no supervised experience. What did you do? He put one is the head of the school district in La Piedra, and the other one is the head supervisor for all the lunch in that area, all the classes, all the schools, when she has zero experience in that. But yet this is the one he gave the jobs to, instead of getting these people who are qualified. You know, and that needs to stop. The reason the Puerto Rico is like this is because you, Puerto Rico, you voted those people in. You voted these inept people to represent you, because you have this fixation that my mother's PNP, my dad is Popular, or whatever the case be, so I'm going to align myself with them. Not knowing what that party stands for, not knowing what that party, both parties, when I say this, both parties has done for this, for the land of Puerto Rico. You don't know, but you go with the flow because my dad and my mom. You have to start thinking on your own. You have to start doing research. Puerto Rico has a 77 or more than that $1 billion deficit. How did it get there, people? Think about that. The government had to take away the people's pension, a pension that these doctors and these teachers and these public servants worked their ass off. Police officers, now they don't get no retirement, because they have to claw from that fund to pay other funds. Tell me, why are you voting blue? Why are you voting for these red people when you know for a fact they're not going to do anything? Why don't you vote for Lourdes Santiago? That is just because she's independent, that doesn't mean that Puerto Rico is going to be independent. She has some brilliant ideas. The woman is astute. They're astute. So why be afraid? Lugaro, Alejandra Lugaro, another astute woman. Why are you afraid of her? Because she doesn't believe in God. Most of these jerk-offs who say they're Christian steal. Every time there's a big disaster, FEMA sends money. Everybody don't get money. So check this out. So that church that I was telling you about is going to get granted $32 million. And people who have still got blue tarps on their houses because their houses are in the flood zone and that church is also in the flood zone, they get their money. But the people who are in blood zone areas, we still to this day with blue tarps, they can't get the house fixed. Can't get the house fixed. But you're going to give it to this church that is corrupt. $32 million. Isn't that something? Don't blame the governor. Blame yourself. Blame yourself because you're allowing this to happen. You're allowing for these people to sell our land to foreigners because they messed up the electricity company, they messed up the water company, they messed up the airport, which airport now that was contracted 2041 with a Mexican company, Aerostar. Everything that the telephone company was sold to a movie star, to Carlos Slim from Mexico. So everything that we had that belonged to us, we had to sell because once again, you have this blue and red party who only fends for themselves. And I'm sorry, that's what it is. They fend for themselves. And as you keep voting because mommy's blue and daddy's red, or daddy's red and mommy's blue, you're not going to get nowhere. You have to vote outside that box. Just because Puerto Rico, Lula Santiago, is an independent, does not mean that Puerto Rico is going to be independent. It takes a lot to be independent. All these senators and mayors that you see that are Republicans and Democrats, blue and red, take them out. Give them to Lugaros. Give them to Lules. Vote for Nadal. He's great. You have another guy on Instagram. He's always on there. I forgot his name, but he's a good advocate for Puerto Rico. He ran for governor too, but he has a small percentage because people don't want to go there because they don't know him. The only two parties in Puerto Rico is red and blue, and people stay that way, red and blue, because either they're afraid. I'm gonna say, but Puerto Rico has a population of older people. Those older people, all of those people are not going to change. You could put Mickey Mouse and put a blue stripe, say Panepe, they're gonna vote for Mickey Mouse. Same thing with the red party. But that's the reason why. It's because of that generation has overvoted the young. Now, but if the young in 2024 say to themselves, we're going to vote these people out, we're going to vote them out. we need to vote these people because, look, all you have is a bunch of lawyers and doctors up in there. They don't know nothing. None of them. There's only one came out from La Perla, Puerto Rico, which is a bad place, and he's a senator there. He's in his own party. He's not either the blue or the red. He's doing good. Natal, the boyfriend from Alexander Lugaro, Natal, a great senator. And most of the time that he was there, he boasted himself. He went there for the people of Puerto Rico. And you know what they did? They used to shut off his mic so he cannot be heard. These are supposed to be your colleagues. This is supposed to be where you have freedom of speech. And they cut off his mic because they don't want to hear him, or they don't want people to, because all that gets recorded. What kind of people are these? None of them says, you know what? We have 60% of the people, the population in welfare. Let's do something for them. Let's incentivize them by let the government pay for free school or free trade. You have people in Puerto Rico who wants to open a business, but they can't because they wait so long for permits. But yet, you see a politician, boom, boom, their friend gets a permit. Puerto Rico is an island of 35 by 127, and it's crimes there every day. Most of it's killing. You're going to tell me that cops cannot take these drug dealers out on an island so small? You're going to tell me that? We lost the majority of our police force. We lost because of the pension. We were at one point several years ago, we were 17,000 police officers strong. We were the second highest in police besides New York City. New York City got 33,000. At that time, we had 33,000. In Puerto Rico, we had 17,000 police officers. Now they got like 12 or 11. Because they're all exiled from Puerto Rico because it's not paying. You're going to give $32 million to a church, but yet every year, kids in school don't have supplies. Kids in school don't have their teachers because they never got the teacher for that class. So they have to wait for a substitute, and that takes a while. They go to run-of-the-mill schools. Every year, the students' parents or the faculty members have to put in their money to to fix the class. But yet you give 30-some million, even if it's FEMA money that has nothing to do with the government, you give it to a church. We're not educating our kids right. We're not giving them the opportunity to do things right. The reason Puerto Rico is with drugs, we must put out some sort of sports out there. Every town should have a basketball court. Every town should have a baseball court. Every town should have a boxing ring in it. You know, you could even open, even if it costs you money, open up an ice skating ring. Something to attract the young people to stay away from drugs. Give them, touch them, something to do. When a child, when someone graduates from vocational school and they're an electrician, they're a mechanic, and they can't get a job as a mechanic, you ask the government to say, you know what, I'm going to help you out. Find me a locale. You already have your license. Find me a local place. Check how much the rent is there, and I'm going to help you find. I'm going to help you find the funds for this, and I'm gonna help you find the local. You got the permit. I'll get you the permit to just find me the place. Let's say the thing costs $10,000 a month or $5,000 a month, but the mechanic, you got your fine. Let the government fund you, and then once you get on your feet, you fund back the government. Okay, you loan me $20,000. Just say no interest. Whatever you loan me $20,000. That's what I needed to do to open my store, to open my shop, to open my mechanic class. That's what I needed. I got all the equipment. When you start making that money, you go, government, thank you. You start giving back, and that's how you incentivize. When someone graduates from cosmetic school, it's kind of hard for them to get a job in cosmetic. So let them open up their own shop. A plumber, let the plumber open up his own shop. Well, I prefer your plumber going with someone else that can learn and then open up their own shop. Don't make it difficult for them. Don't make it difficult for me. Take the crime out of Puerto Rico. Look, you can reduce crime in Puerto Rico by 50 to 60%, but you choose not to. The inmates in Puerto Rico vote. Look at that. The inmates in Puerto Rico are allowed to vote. They killed and maimed and raped somebody else, but yet they had their civil rights of voting are still there. Isn't that something else? Something that should be abolished. Once you come out of prison and you did your time, then your voting rights are reestablished all over again. But while you're in prison, you have no rights to the outside world. You don't. Here, a president can be convicted. You can be convicted of a felony in the United States, and you can still run for senator. You can still run for president while being in jail. I'm talking about here in the United States. So, why is Puerto Rico the way it is? Government, yes, but the people. The people keep voting for the same people over and over and over and over again. And what happens when you try to do something different and you see the same result, like Einstein said? It's called craziness. Over and over. Unless you change the Senate, unless you change the governor, and you infrastructure and say, you know what, no más. Aquí no podemos vivir así. Esto es una tragedia. Esto es un bochorno. All right? I voted for Aníbal Acevedo Vilá a few years ago when I was in Puerto Rico, and we voted to have one camera. There's two senates, one camera, right? One seat, one Senate council. So instead of having 88, whatever number that they have, condense it and just have one House of Representatives, and that's it. Take a couple of mayors, condense those. You're going to be charged with this, but they don't do that. They want to spread it out, make everyone happy, and yet they don't do anything for your town. My town shambles. You think that my mayor in Puerto Rico cares about his town? No. You don't care, but he's making that money. Been there for 20 years, and the other party hasn't taken him out because that town is blue. That town is blue. And if I would have ran under the red, or even if I would have ran independent, I would have won because I know what it takes. I don't know what people want. I mean, I'm born and raised in the Bronx. I know what it is to work hard. I know what it is to bust your ass. I know what it is to sweat. You can take a paycheck every week. These people don't do that. These people don't have that. You know, they most of them are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. So, in order for Puerto Rico to improve, Look, I'll give you my. I want Puerto Rico to become a state one day because if we given our lives to the United States of America, the least they can do is give us make a state. So not just for me, it's for all the elderly people, or for when people who are going to become elderly, they can get the benefits of Medicare and Medicaid. They can get their retirement. They can, they can enjoy those things that are done in the United States. They can do that for Puerto Rico. Why? Because Puerto Rico has fought in every war that the United States have been in. Okay, that should be enough. Just the same way that I don't know why the United States is waiting to give black families reparation for our land. Because when slavery was on, the contract of slaves was you're going to work for this person a certain hours, or a certain amount of years, and then on set year, when you're done, you are allowed, I don't know how many acres of houses, of land that you're allowed. That never happened. To this day, that's never happened. So where are their reparations? Same thing with Puerto Rico. They take the take and they don't give back. So why don't you put a different face to all those faces that have been screwing you? Don't be afraid because you think that Puerto Rico is going to become independent if what's her name? Santiago is good. Santiago is independent, and she's going to make Puerto Rico independent. No, that's not the way it goes. If you asked me 40, 50 years ago, would I want Puerto Rico to be independent? Yes, I do. Because it would be our own island, and we don't have to be worried about the Jones Act. We don't have to reduce. We could deal with other companies, with other countries. But at this day and age, it's kind of hard to do because the people of Puerto Rico already know corruption. And this is what holds back Puerto Rico from becoming a state. But if it had a choice that I could become independent, yes, because your own island, your own rules. You may see more crime because depending on how it is, but it could stay the same. But it needs to be taken out. All these projects in Puerto Rico, the housing projects, all those are buildings from the United States of America. They are USDA owned. At one time, they had police in those projects, and the guys there, they just blasted them out for them not to come back. As a government, you go in there with your troop, go there with an order, search order with a kid, an order of arrest, you all going out. You're not going to live here in Puerto Rico. You're not going to live here in Puerto Rico doing the things that you do. Because you're not going to terrorize my people and lock them up. But that's not the way. The reality of Puerto Rico is that the governors, the senators, and the mayors are the ones that are raking in money, but yet they don't want to do anything with it. You only see people advertise about San Juan or Luquillo, but you never see, the east side has great beaches, the west side has great beaches, the south and Ponce, all that route, they have great beaches. Guayabucoa got a nice little beach. Why don't they promote those beaches so people can say, you know what, I just don't want to go to San Juan. I want to go to this beach. Well, I want to go to this beach. Oh, there was a beautiful scenery right there. Even the mayors of that town can make a commercial and put it out there. So when people say, you know what, oh, I didn't know this exists. Because most people that come to Puerto Rico, what they know is San Juan. San Juan. Plain and simple. So let's not blame others. Let's not blame the governors. You have to have a lot to blame. But blame yourself for voting for these people. Blame yourself for saying that, oh, Lugaro's she's not lazy, so she doesn't align with me. Blame yourself that you didn't vote for Lourdes Santiago. So when the light goes up and the water light bill goes up and there is no light, don't blame these people. Blame those legislators and those senators that you choose to have. That governor that you choose to have. At the end of the day, the governor is just a puppet. The one who does the law and makes the law is the same. So those are the ones that you got to keep your eye on. See what they're doing. Look it up. Go to a library. Look it up on Google, whatever. See what that person has done in the 4 years, 8 years that he's been member of that Senate. What bill has he proposed and have they been approved? That's the way you do. You do your research before you hand over to a country to people like Major Taylor Greene, Laura Bobbitt. Now we have I forgot his name, but that's it. Why are we We have to, we have to not to blame others. Like I said, Will Barber, Matt Dice, I think he's the only smart one out of all of them. And you have all these politicians that's going to throw at you things, but you don't know, you're not, either you're lazy or not strong enough to read it and realize what this lady's saying. Because you can't believe everything you hear from the party of red, and you cannot believe everything the party of blue says. But you have an idea of what's going on. You have an idea. A lot of people don't want to give Biden credit for what he's done, but he's done a lot. Or his administration has done a lot. While you look at Ronald Reagan, George Bush, and Donald Trump, our debt ceiling has risen. Before COVID, it has risen. You tell me why. If we're supposed to be the greatest and most powerful country in the world, why are we owing other countries? Why? Why do we fight every war? We don't have to. We really don't have to. So, if you haven't applied to my, to my channel, go ahead and do so.